Kenya versus South Africa. Which country is the better place to live in and settle? This video is for all of you dreaming of making the move to Africa to connect with your roots and seeking a better quality of life. But
anytime. So this was truly a battle of giants in Africa, and like we said, one of the hardest decisions we ever have to make.
Right. In today's video, we'll be giving you 7 differences between South Africa and Kenya and letting you guys know which one we like best.
Also on this channel, we'll be traveling throughout the continent to show you the real Africa.
So,
hi kings and queens, welcome back once again to another interesting, educative, mind-blowing and very entertaining episode. Guys, we're back with a hit, yes. And on today's episode, quickly, no waste of time, will be me reacting to, I think, an American kind of someone who have based in America, from Africa origin and roots, who is trying to explore Africa to definitely see how Africa is based on her travel and trips to different countries in Africa. And you see, one thing I must put out here is we cannot really understand each other as countries or citizens in Africa if we don't explore, right? When I mean explore, it is not going illegally, it is not going to disrupt the peace of the country, right? But going on vacations, visit and travel to see how other countries' culture are, it's one beauty that can never be denied. One thing I personally would always want and wish for is my ability to travel around countries in Africa, right? See things from the lens of other country, experience it live, raw and direct, exactly. And it's one thing that is very helpful when it comes to our growth in life, our education and exposure in life, and it can never ever be denied, right? And with that being said, I want us to see how this lady explored Kenya, South Africa, and what are her opinion, her objective about all these countries. This is not a comparison but enlightening us, because I really want to learn. Of course, we are all here and open to learning. What are her opinions, and what do you as the audience, as a South African Kenyan, really think about this? Because I do not understand and I don't know. I only know if you guys confirm most of the things she will be telling us in this video. So I will oblige you pay attention to details, and please at this point give this video a huge and a massive thumbs up, share and subscribe to be a part and parcel of this video. And I will come back at the end of this video to give my final input, opinion and objective. Let's take a look at this and I will be right back.
Kenya versus South Africa. Which country is the better place to live in and settle? This video is for all of you dreaming of making the move to Africa to connect with your roots and seeking a better quality of life, but struggle to decide which country can meet your needs and desires. Many of us in the diaspora, like me, either can't move to their home country because of political instability or simply cannot trace back their roots to their country of origin. But the beautiful part is, no matter where I traveled to on the continent, I instantly felt connected to the land and to its people. So while every country is unique and different, trust me when I say there is much more that unites us as a people than what divides us. Hey beautiful people, welcome to Plan B, back to Africa. My name is Wayne. I have my roots in Ethiopia and Eritrea and was born and raised in Germany. I'm a single mom currently exploring the African continent to find the perfect place to call home for me and my 2 beautiful children. We've been traveling the African continent for 8 months now, visited 8 countries and are currently based in Nairobi, Kenya. Last year I acquired Kenyan residency through the company that I registered here in Nairobi, and I really love this country. I've been returning multiple times since 2019, and actually the plan was to settle here for good. However, on this journey I unexpectedly got the chance to visit South Africa for the first time and spent 3 months here, mostly in Cape Town and in Johannesburg to be precise. And let me tell you something, fam, I didn't want to leave. South Africa simply blew my mind. So today I'll be diving into the big question whether Kenya or South Africa is the better country to live in and settle. For this evaluation, I chose 7 criteria which are important to me at this moment. But mind you, this evaluation is based on my own lived experience, on my own cultural background, and my needs and desires. My goal is to be as objective and as real as possible, and to give you an idea of what to expect. But in the end, every one of us has to make his or her own experience. So let's break it down and see which country wins in the end. First up, let's look at the cost of living. This is a key factor for anyone thinking of relocating, especially for us as parents. So between Kenya and South Africa, which one gives you more value for your money? In Kenya, I found that the cost of housing and basic amenities can be pretty affordable, especially if you're living outside of Nairobi. You can get a lovely house in cities such as Kisumu or Mombasa for a reasonable price. Food and transport are also quite affordable if you're shopping local and using public transport or Uber services. However, the cost can rise significantly if you're looking for international products or premium services. In South Africa, the cost of living in major cities like Johannesburg or Cape Town are similar to Nairobi, but the quality of housing is a bit higher. Plus, you'll also find a wider range of housing opportunities. There's a strong middle-class market in South Africa, which means things like shopping malls, schools, and healthcare are more developed. In the end, it really depends on your lifestyle and your preferences. I found that imported goods are way more expensive in Kenya than they are in South Africa, but local products are relatively cheap. I'm wondering if the relatively high prices for affordable luxury living and imported goods are connected to the presence of the UN headquarters in Nairobi. Same goes for the extremely high cost of education at international schools. Just to give you an example, the school fees at the German International School in Nairobi are around 12,000 euro per academic year, while in South Africa, you pay maximum 5,000 US dollars per academic year for the German International School. And since an excellent and affordable education for my children and housing are my personal priorities, this round definitely goes to South Africa. Now let's talk about the second criteria, safety. One of the biggest concerns for anyone moving to a new country, especially as a single mom. In Kenya, safety can be an issue in certain areas, particularly in Nairobi. Petty theft and occasional political unrest can be concerns, but I felt relatively safe overall, especially in more secure neighborhoods and tourist-friendly places along the East Coast. South Africa, on the other hand, has a more complex safety situation. The crime rate is significantly higher, particularly in major cities like Johannesburg. Generally, I could hear police sirens way more often in Johannesburg and in Cape Town than in Nairobi. But there are safe areas where gated community, private security, and neighborhood watch programs are common. As long as you are mindful where you hang out or live, safety can be managed. Another big plus in Kenya was the fact that it's almost a cashless society. Everyone uses the mobile money system M-Pesa, which gave me a more secure feeling than in South Africa. There is also a mobile money system in South Africa. However, Kenya is the leading mobile money market in the world, and M-Pesa is accepted everywhere, even for small donations at the church. While in South Africa, oftentimes only cash or card payments were accepted. So for me personally, Kenya definitely felt way more safer on a day-to-day basis, which is why this round goes to Kenya. However, both countries definitely require some level of caution. Now let's get to the third criteria, which is the natural environment. One of the most attractive aspects of moving to Africa is the stunning natural environment, and both Kenya and South Africa offer incredible landscapes, though in very different ways. Kenya is famous for its open savannas, picture-perfect beaches along the East Coast, and wildlife. The Masai Mara is one of the best places in the world to witness the Great Migration, and places like Amboseli and Tsavo are incredible for spotting elephants, lions, and other wildlife. Plus, the coast along Mombasa and Diani offer one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. So if you're someone who loves wildlife and outdoor adventure, Kenya is a paradise. South Africa, on the other hand, offers a more diverse landscape. You can go from breathtaking mountains to rolling vineyards to stunning beaches, all within a few hours' drive. The iconic Table Mountain in Cape Town, the beautiful Garden Route, and the unique Kruger National Park are just a few examples of South Africa's rich variety. You can experience tropical coastlines, vast desert areas, and lush forests all in one country. One thing to note though is the weather. South Africa has more defined seasons, and the winters can get really cold, especially in places like Johannesburg and Cape Town. So if you're used to warm weather year-round, this might be challenging, especially when comparing it to Kenya's mostly warm climate. Now, as someone who prefers to live by the sea, I personally would choose Cape Town over Nairobi. Cape Town simply offers everything I need: mountains, the ocean, and a breathtaking natural environment. Living by the ocean is not only beautiful but also beneficial for my dry skin and my curly hair. The salt water helps to moisturize my skin and keeps my hair healthy. In contrast, Nairobi's high altitude and dry air tends to dry out my skin and hair. As much as I appreciate Nairobi's vibrant city life and proximity to amazing national parks, for my personal needs and as a nature lover, Cape Town just has the perfect balance of everything: mountains, oceans, and a vibrant natural environment. Therefore, this round goes to South Africa. Let's get to criteria number 4, culture. Culture is such an important part of feeling at home, especially for us in the diaspora. In terms of cultural richness, it's hard to say which one is better. It really depends on what resonates with you. Overall, Kenya feels more traditionally African, while South Africa is a melting pot of cultures. a blend of African, European, and Asian influences, and therefore often called the Rainbow Nation for its incredible diversity. In Kenya, Swahili is widely spoken, a language that I learned during my studies in Germany, which made it more easier for me to blend in. Besides, the welcoming nature of the people is something that I really enjoy. The coast is predominantly Islamic and therefore very conservative, and Kenya is very rich in tradition with over 40 different ethnic groups. And while the country experienced ethnic violence in the past, I felt that there is a strong sense of community and more unity in Kenya than in South Africa. The latest protests against the government are proof of this. Kenyans set an example by putting all their cultural differences aside and united as a people. To witness this gave me so much joy, something that other Africans, especially their neighbors in the north, can learn from. This level of unity is unfortunately something that is still unthinkable in South Africa. I quickly noticed that the dark and painful history of apartheid is still alive. I mean, after all, it's not long ago that the system of apartheid was still in practice, 30 years ago to be precise. You will feel the legacy of apartheid mostly in Cape Town, where there is a huge gap between blacks, whites, coloreds and Asians, not just in terms of space, but also in terms of wealth. Johannesburg, on the other hand, was much more inclusive and accommodating to all lived experiences, both black and white. You will find wealthy blacks, whites, and Asians all living in the same neighborhood. So overall, Johannesburg was for me personally a much more authentic South African experience than Cape Town. While both countries, Kenya and South Africa, have a progressive art scene, I feel that the art scene in South Africa is more vibrant in terms of cultural events, art exhibitions, music events, you name it. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of Amapiano music, and no one, I repeat, no one knows how to party like South Africans. And don't even come at me, I'm not open for debate. Especially the party scene in Johannesburg is on another level, fam. And while I enjoyed going out in Nairobi, the parties in Kenya cannot hold a candle to those in South Africa. Overall, because of my own upbringing in a culturally diverse community, I feel more comfortable in South Africa than in Kenya, which is why this round also goes to South Africa. Now let's get to the next criteria number 5, hospitality and openness. When evaluating hospitality in Kenya versus South Africa, I feel it's essential to consider the challenges migrants face in South Africa. Not so much African Americans, but particularly the diaspora from other African countries. And since many of my subscribers who are following my journey are from countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, I feel it's very important to mention this here. Unfortunately, South Africa has a well-documented history of xenophobia, which is largely directed at African migrants. During my time in South Africa, I personally spoke to many African migrants from countries such as Nigeria, Eritrea, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and without exception, they expressed concerns about their safety and shared experiences of hate crimes and discrimination. Xenophobia in South Africa is deeply rooted in its apartheid history, where division and racial hierarchy were institutionalized. Unfortunately, there are some Black South Africans who feel a scarcity of resources such as jobs and housing, which fuels resentment towards migrants. Recent movements like Put South Africa First and Operation Dudula have intensified anti-immigrant rhetoric, especially on social media. This sentiment, which disproportionately affects migrants from countries like Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and Mozambique, has made many feel unwelcomed and unsafe in the country. A recent example that highlights this problem was when one of the finalists of Miss South Africa, who has Mozambican and Nigerian roots, received a wave of online hatred. Despite being born and raised in South Africa, and despite being fully integrated into the country's language and culture, her identity was questioned, as well as her legitimacy to represent the country on the global stage, simply because of her non-South African roots. This raises personal concerns for me as well. Being an Ethiopian Eritrean woman with children born to a Nigerian father, I'm wondering if my children, my future grandchildren and great-grandchildren would ever be fully accepted as South Africans. So while South Africa offers many positives, unfortunately, xenophobia remains a critical issue, one that is important to address with nuance and care when considering South Africa as a home for the African diaspora, a more welcoming choice for many in the community looking to reconnect with the African continent. With a long history of Pan-Africanism, Kenya embraces African diversity, and many African migrants have expressed feeling welcomed, safe, and accepted there. The cultural warmth and inclusivity in Kenya creates a sense of belonging that is vital for many of us in the diaspora. So based on my own personal experiences and the conversations I've had, Kenya definitely wins this round in terms of openness and hospitality.
Fourth on it so many times. So this was truly a battle of giants in Africa. And like we said, one of the hardest decisions we ever have to make.
Right. In today's video, we'll be giving you 7 differences between South Africa and Kenya and letting you guys know which one we like best.
Also on this channel, we'll be traveling throughout the continent to show you the real Africa.
So if you like this type of content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the scenery. So we're going to go ahead and start with Kenya since we're in Kenya. So to begin with, say in Diani, Mombasa, the beaches were amazing. They were
Seriously.
so beautiful. And we've seen a lot of beaches, so those were like at the top of the list. And just the greenery, the nature surrounding it. Even driving through the city, there was still a lot of greenery. It was really amazing. Very beautiful natural things.
Yeah.
In South Africa, when we were in Cape Town, we saw a lot of amazing things as well, like Table Mountain was just
extraordinary.
Awesome. And it was amazing how you could literally see the mountain from like everywhere you drive out there. You see this amazing view. And then just being able to go to Cape Point, being at the southernmost like tip of Africa, that was amazing. It was really nice.
Also going to places like the Botanical Gardens in South Africa, seeing the waterfall, which was our first waterfall, was extraordinary, guys. So now let's get into the cities. And let's start with South Africa. Now we stayed in Johannesburg, probably most of the time we were in South Africa, and places like Sandton, very developed, luxurious, just everything is modern about that place. Now when you get into Johannesburg, it's a little bit older, but still very nice, has its own architectures, history, and culture behind it. It's a beautiful city. Now when you look at Kenya, we were in Nairobi, so I feel like that's a great comparison. In Nairobi, also the city is very modern, skyscrapers everywhere, very clean and organized. And I would say that both cities are very great when it comes to just comparing to other cities that we've been to on the continent. They're next level, for real. And then you get into the roads. Both are very up-to-date, modern. They look like anywhere that you would go in West and drive around, highways, toll roads, and pretty much just easy to travel anywhere around the countries. So I would say in both of those countries, they're very modern and up-to-date.
The next thing we're going to talk about is safety. So as you guys know, South Africa does have a higher crime rate than Kenya. We discussed this in our South Africa video. We specifically made a video about that because people kept coming in our comments saying, but what about the crime? Because we weren't saying those things, but obviously we weren't saying it because we weren't experiencing it. But as you guys know, there is a difference. And these are some statistics for you. So the crime index for Kenya is 56.73 and for South Africa it's 75.56. So Kenya is safer than South Africa. There is a higher rate of crime in South Africa. But for us, the way that we felt safe in both places. We walked places in both places. We went to eat the other day and we walked to the mall after. We walked back and forth to the grocery store and to get food in South Africa. So we did not experience any crime personally or see anything that made us feel unsafe.
Yeah, the thing is, it's all about how you carry yourself and how you move here. Just keep your head on a swivel, always be aware of your surroundings. And for us, we just keep our faith in the Most High, so we really don't worry about things like that. So I would say that's for crime in both places is not a huge issue for us.
The next thing that we're going to talk about that we know you guys care about so much is cost of living. We're going to start with housing. So obviously you guys know we typically stay in an Airbnb. You know, if we decide to move, then that'll be different. But right now we're doing Airbnb. So in South Africa for a month, we spent about 600 USD. But for a very nice place, very comfortable, all the amenities, things that you need. In Kenya, we spent about 800 a month, but still very nice, up-to-date, modern, all the amenities you need. So obviously for housing, Kenya is more expensive.
Also, when you look at getting a bang for your buck, in South Africa, you probably get a little bit more for cheaper. So that's a huge indicator that cost of living is a little bit cheaper when it comes to housing. Now, as far as renting places, we looked to rent in both places and it still showed that South Africa, for what you're getting for your money, is a little bit better and cheaper. So that's that. The next thing we want to get into is the food. Now, which might be surprising to you guys because South Africa is considered to be one of the most modern places on the continent, is actually cheaper when it comes to food. Now we went to the grocery stores, the fruits, vegetables, and
we went to the fancy grocery store.
it was actually a little bit cheaper than it is right here in Kenya.
Right.
When you look at the restaurants, same thing for that. The food is just a little bit cheaper overall. Now I would say the only thing that Kenya is a little bit cheaper in would be like rides, like Ubers and boats like that. The cost is just a little bit cheaper, but other than that, that's about it.
The next thing we're going to talk about is the weather. Now, you guys know that we have had winter in both places. So when we were in South Africa, everyone was saying, we were so wrong, we came in winter, we messed up. So
It's fair.
it is cold in both places. Right now in Nairobi, it is cold. We have the window open. It's very cold over there. In South Africa, we was blanket on blanket on blanket. We needed a gas heater. So I would say that the weather is a little bit better in Nairobi, saying that they're both in wintertime. Nairobi is warmer. It's more comfortable. It's still cold. Like at night, it could be pretty chilly, but it is more comfortable. It was freezing in South Africa. Like we would wake up and be like shivering. It was cold.
Actually, after we left South Africa, it started to snow and was very cold. So I'm glad we got out of there before that happened, because we did not have the proper heating for that.
No.
And then when you look at other cities within these countries, I know it's warmer in Durban, and people saying go there during the winter because it's always warm. And same here when you're going to places like Mombasa.
It was very warm.
It's pretty much always warm there. But overall, I will say it's warmer in Kenya, and we like warm weather, not the cold. So that's that.
The next thing we're going to talk about is the food. So let's start with local food. So in Kenya, they had very good things like the fish, which was very fresh. They have very good greens, and they make greens with a lot of things, which I like because it's healthy. They use a lot less seasoning, but the food still tastes really good. It's more about the fresh vegetables and stuff, giving it flavor more so than like seasoning, like sprinkling stuff on it. Chapatis, I love chapati, they're so good. They just had a lot of good things. We had like coconut beans, which was very new for me, very delicious. We've had some local Kenyan tea, just really good stuff. And then in South Africa, we had like the kotas, the Koo sisters, what's the street food thing? I don't even remember what it was called, honestly, but we had a lot of good things that tasted really, really good. So it's kind of hard to say, but they both had a lot of good options.
And then let's look at the international food now. So we eat a variety of different foods anywhere we go. And some of the main things like Indian food, Italian food, Asian foods are some of the things that we absolutely love. And in both places, they have them in abundance and it's authentic.
Right.
Probably because the culture here is in both places are diverse, and a lot of people have moved here from these different countries. So you get that authentic taste and feel. So I would say overall, both places have great food in general.
So as for grocery stores, in Kenya, they have so many things. We discussed this before. We didn't really miss out on anything. Like when it came to meat, they have all the different cuts of, chicken, beef. You can get steaks and stuff, because we didn't really see like steak, stuff like that in like Tanzania per se. But like, it has everything here in Kenya. There's a lot of like herbs too. I like to get like herbal tea and stuff. There's a lot of like healthy things too that you can find right in the grocery store, which I really like. And honestly, it's really the same in South Africa. The last part of the food topic, I would say, is health, because that is a big thing. So I would say, we do tasting videos where we taste stuff just for you guys. So it might not be the healthiest stuff, but as for overall eating and the food that we buy and stuff from the grocery store, I would say things are healthier in Kenya. And the reason why I would say this is because I have allergies, and you guys kept saying how in South Africa I sounded congested. I was congested, but it has a lot to do with the food. Like when we left Tanzania and went back to America, my sinuses closed up. It got back bad. We left, we went to Tanzania, and then we were in Kenya, and it cleared up. We went to South Africa and it came back, and now we're back in Kenya and I can breathe through my nose again. So yeah.
So now for me, it's a little bit different, and it's specifically when eating out in both of these places. Now, when I was in South Africa, my stomach was pretty much regulated. I didn't have a lot of issues. Now, one time I did get diarrhea, but that's probably from like drinking or something like that, having a drink or something like that. But
don't be lost, guys. That was me really curious and trying to explore more, yes, to know more, and liking it to what this first lady has said. Like, let's just see what other people's opinion is when it still comes to Kenya versus South Africa in terms of exploring and all whatnot. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Welcome back, guys. Yes, a lot has been said based on the safaris, the tourist places, the culture, the food. In fact, she has really touched on a lot of things, and I can say of a truth, it's quite interesting based on her exposition, experience, knowledge, and understanding. But I will not really conclude unless I get a confirmation from you, or maybe if you are not citizen of this country, you have visited, you have experienced, whether you're Nigerian or Nigerian, you're a Nigerian living in Kenya, you're an African American, you want to visit any of these countries, or you have visited, let's know. If you are a Kenyan, what do you think? A South African, what do you think? Are they really right? Is it okay? Anything you okay, and accept. I will gladly accept it at the end of the day. But I find this very, very interactive, expository, and good for us to know. That's why I decided to share, so that we'll know and learn the beauty, dynamics, and diversity of different countries. So shout out to all my South Africans, my Kenyans. In fact, I know we have a lot of amazing countries, even Nigeria, based on what we have as our culture, our food, our safaris, our tourist places, name it. Different strokes for different folks, and we are uniquely different. Okay, so putting our differences, our challenges, our weaknesses, our shortcomings aside, we need to understand that yes, we are uniquely made different originally by God first, before any other thing, and we owe ourselves the duty and responsibility of managing and maintaining these things. And that's why we see that we are always keen on making sure that corruption does not exude us, does not consume us, and we ourselves are not a major problem to ourselves, so that our countries might be really the best and the safest place for others to visit, others to come and see, know, and learn, interact, or interrelate, as the case may be. Like I said, a lot has been said. I don't want to do a repetition on that. Let me know your reactions, your thoughts, your opinion on this topic, on this video. That this young, pretty, beautiful, amazing lady, I think her channel will be in the description. She does have a lot of amazing reviews on countries that she has traveled to, and time to time I will bring out videos like this for us to see. These on reactions and analysis. Let's talk and interact. Exactly. And this is what we have for today. Like I said, what are your thoughts, your opinion, your input, your objective? Let's talk in the comment section. Exactly. And if you do like today's video, do me a favor, my king and queens from different countries, particularly South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Zimbabwe, name them. We have a lot. As much as we are in the continent of Africa, from north, east, west, South, and Central Africa. See beautiful people and amazing people like us. Do you know how amazing and beautiful you are as a man and a woman? You don't know. You don't know. And I'm here to tell you that. Always have that in front of your mind, not at the back, that you are wonderful, uniquely and amazingly created by God, and don't let anyone tell you less. Right? You are beautiful and amazing just the way you are. South Africa is beautiful. I never knew. Kenya is this beautiful. I never knew. From the lens of another person, and I'm already feeling it. Talk more of when I will experience it. I can't wait to. This is not cheap. It takes a lot of resources, money, finance, time, energy to explore, right? So bit by bit, I will take it one step at a time, God willing and life permitting. Exactly, fingers crossed. Thank you so much, my amazing family, for watching patiently up to now. You are the best. Thank you. Like I said, let's talk in the comment section, and keeping it real, happy, safe, and blessed. And I will see you in my next one. Ciao, ciao.